This podcast is created for adult audiences only and contains content that may be alarming to some viewers. Listener discretion is advised. Any badass views or opinions you're about to hear are those of the hosts and do not represent those of the people, institutions, or organizations that the podcast may or may not be associated with. So just don't be a dick. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Girls Gone Weird.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Girls Gone Weird. This is Nicole.
And this is Dini.
And welcome. Welcome if you're old. Welcome if you're new. If you're new and you're just popping in for this episode, just like I said, welcome. Go check out some other episodes.
You're at the best place. You are here. You are at the right place.
Yep. We talk about all things weird. We talk about things wild, odd, crazy. We go off the rails. We got a big one today. So
huge.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of jump in. We're gonna, hit you with a little bit of death news, but yeah, we got a huge feature for you tonight. So we're not gonna dawdle.
Yes.
No dawdling around.
No dawdling around.
Although, you know what I'm gonna say? You know what I'm gonna preface with? Guess.
Why do you always make me guess? You're like, okay, so you and Ella, this is what Ella and Nicole both do this to me. They're always like, guess, but like the answer's never easy. And I'm like, I don't want to think.
What do I always have to say on this podcast? I'm always like, just so you guys know, I'm sick.
Yep, every time.
I'm sick. I might pause to cough or sniffle. I got a sinus infection or something. We should just put that in like our intro. Like we should redo a whole new intro to just be like, P.S. Nicole's always sick.
Nicole's sick.
She's got allergies. She's stuffy. So if I sound a little congested and verklempt, that's why.
Well,
I got my sultry voice tonight.
You're not the big talker tonight. It's going to be me.
That's true.
I know. So that's why I'm only drinking twisted tea. So I'm like, can't drink too heavy. Can't drink too heavy tonight.
Good. Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to crack a bottle of wine right before we logged on, but I have a little bit of a headache. So you know what? I cracked a peach iced tea lemonade THC drink. So I'm going to sip on that. We're going to get weird. So
let's
sounds
do it.
good.
You said you have some death news. So shall we start?
I have
with
a
that?
little bit of death news. Let's start with it.
All right,
ready?
let's do it. Ready, death news.
Ooh, welcome to Nicole's Death News. So, as I just said, I have been sick for a whole week. So, I had to take a whole week off of work. So, I don't have a lot. I have a little, but it's pretty good. I'd like to say, if I don't say so myself, some good death news. So, let's just I'm just going to start with like the main event with my death news because it's a little wild.
Oh, okay, I'm excited.
So I was just working in office work this day, and Em called me into the crematory, and she's like, "Hey, can you help me with this body? Like, I need to move this guy into a new body bag because he's kind of like really bloody." And I was like, "Okay, like not a big deal. I'll come help." I wasn't wearing my scrubs though. I was in my office attire, and she's like, "You might want to grab a PPE gown because, he's bloody." Yeah. I was like, all right. So I went into our chemical room and I grabbed a big old plastic cloth PPE gown that went all the way down to my ankles.
Covered all my PP
arms.
gown? Like, can you say that again? What PP gown?
PPE gown.
Oh, I'm thinking like PP. Is she saying PP like piss?
PP. No, it's a PPE gown, which stands for personal protective equipment.
Okay.
So you can imagine what like surgeons wear when they're.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
It's exactly like you put the arms on first and it ties on the back and shit. Like the nurses put them on for the surgeon,
Yeah.
So I got my gloves on. I got my PPE gown on. Head to the crematory. And she's got this guy, the body bag's closed, but you can clearly see like a puddle of red inside the body bag. And it had kind of torn on the side a little bit. And she's like, all right, so let's just put a brand new body bag and open it up and have it ready on a cot. And we're going to roll the cot next to him. And then we're just going to pull him over into the new body bag. I was like, okay, so we're not taking him out of the old one. We're just putting body bag inside a body bag. We're going to double bag them, basically.
Just like if something's spilling in a bag, you double bag
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Double bagging this dude. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. So she's like, well, let's get the cot clicked up because everybody knows we got to always have our cots clicked up to the highest height. And it was down one. So we had to click one side up. So I had his feet and she's like, why don't you click his feet up first and then I'll click his head up and then he'll be at the highest height. I'm like, okay. So I go to click his feet up to high, which means his feet are elevated above his head just slightly now. But just that bit of tippage, a gallon of blood splashed all over the floor, all over her legs. Mm-hmm. Her PPE gown didn't go down to ankles like mine did. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my dog's clanking his little nails on the floor and he's gonna drive me fucking crazy. So yeah, she had blood that just splashed she had white little loafers on. Oh my God, Theo.
Bad decision to wear white in that
Bad decision. She was wearing this cute little like spring outfit. It was like pink shirt, like turquoise pants and white shoes. And I'm like, girl, you're working at a crematory. What are you doing? She had like 4 bodies to cremate that day. I know. Splashed all over her ankles. And I'm like, oh my God, that's somebody's blood just right on your ankles. Like, oh my God.
That's like my nightmare. Like, I know it's so stupid because I deal with animals and blood and poop all the time. But there's something about not only human feces, but like human blood, like on me. Like, I just assume I'm going to die. I'm like, oh no, they got a disease and I'm going to die.
You never know. I mean, it's freaky. You have no idea if this person's got some sort of blood-borne illness, pathogen, whatnot. Like, she was like, oh God, I hope he didn't die of fentanyl poisoning because now I've got fentanyl on my legs. And I was just like, oh my God. And we're like, holy shit, like, why is he so bloody too? Mm-hmm. So he was an inmate that was picked up. And we're like, usually people in the prisons, they typically just die of natural causes or sickness or heart conditions or something. And we're like, well, we got to open him up. We got to see what's going on here. And she's like, yeah, I'm curious. I'm like, yeah, we need to see. So we open him up and the blood is still just kind of like dripping, like drip, drip, drip. So I had to throw a bunch of towels on the floor just so we could like walk around it and like open it up. Cracked him open. You could tell that they were clearly trying to save him in a hurry. Like he had 2 tubes going into his side, like the side of his abdomen. He had tubes in his nose and he had scissors still clamped onto tubes.
Wow, so they
like
had
it was one of those
all that still left on him, huh? There was
totally
like, there was throw it in the crematory with him. Wow.
Most of the time they do.
Really?
When I pick somebody up from prison, they don't bother taking off the sticky EKG pads and stuff. They just leave it all on. Like, all right. Yeah. So he, you could tell, it was like somebody was in the ER. It was like they were in a frantic mess trying to save this guy. So we kind of were like, what happened? Like, we still couldn't figure out what had happened because he looked kind of fine. Like, aside from all this equipment and all the blood, we're like, what the fuck? We're like, let's look him up. Let's look up this guy. Like, see what he did.
What is it? Essay?
Twice charged with child pornography.
Oh.
Yep. So we deduced that he was very likely shanked.
Yeah.
In the back.
Oh, that could be just like back. Tons of shank like all over him, and there's just like holes with blood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good riddance.
Because it seemed like it was. I mean, I guess of course blood pools on the bottom, but it really seemed like it was coming from the back of him too, because he was visibly, we couldn't see where it was coming from otherwise. And the tubes in his abdomen seemed pretty well fit. Like they weren't leaking. You know what I mean? So yeah, we pretty much think that, you know, justice was served inside the correctional facility by the other inmates. So that was interesting. And it was a lot of fucking cleanup. Like I was sanitizing and cleaning up. I was Lysoling the bottom of my shoes. We had to pour bleach all over the floor. It was insane. And I went up to my partner and I told him what had just happened. And he's like, oh, what happened? And blah, blah, blah. And he's like, do you know what prison he came from? I was like, no. He's like, damn. I'd love to send a box of cigars to that prison to the prisoners. Just thank them for their service. It's like, yeah.
Don't you wish you could?
Yeah, he's just it's so disappointing. And he was a year younger than we are. He was 35, so he wasn't too old. But we had seen some calls from his mom in the last few days, like, can we claim his body? Da, da, da. I was like, ugh. Just these
could
people.
You imagine, like, well, I don't know who she is, but could you imagine just being like a normal average person like me or you and having a child that ends up being a predator or having those type of kinks? That would just be like your baby harming other babies.
Heartbreaking. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I know people say, like, I don't care what my child does. Like, I would always, I'll always love them and forgive them and stuff like that. And man, it's just hard. I don't know.
Yeah. Would it be like Dahmer's like dad and him, like they were in interviews together, you know, before Dahmer died and everything. And they're like, yeah, we just don't talk about his crimes. And they're just like, so it's like Midwest, like family. Like it's like
just
together.
Walk
like,
around the elephant in the room.
Yeah. They're like sitting together, like like talking about like Thanksgiving. Like, what do you have in the clank for Thanksgiving? Like, it's just like weird. Like,
yeah. Weird dynamic.
Weird dynamic. Yeah.
Super weird. I don't know. I guess everybody's a little different. I mean, my mother-in-law did not forgive or forget her son, both of her sons, for being like drug addicts and stealing from her. And granted, they didn't murder anybody, but they were, you know, pretty fucked up individuals. But she didn't want anything to do with them even after death.
And
which is weird because like I said, a lot of people are like, I don't care what they did. They're still my baby. But she was like, didn't even want to see him on the deathbed.
My grandma was exact opposite. Like, it didn't matter what anyone did or what my dad did in his addiction from stealing her checkbook and, like, did a lot of really bad things, crashing cars, everything like that. And she, like, did everything to still love him and be there for him. And she never cut him off at all, even when she should have with some things. But instead of enabling. But yeah, it's
a boy mom.
Boy mom. She was a boy mom.
It's boy mom.
Yep. But yeah, it's so interesting.
I guess I'll never be able to speak to it unless my kid goes through it. So I don't want to say too much because I've never been through it. I just can't imagine.
Don't know until you get there.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gross.
So yeah, that was gross. That was messy. I was not expecting that. Glad I had my PPE gown on, and I'm glad I wasn't on her side of the cot when that happened. So that was fun. So this next mini story here, it isn't like gross or anything, but I feel like it's just wild. So we had a funeral a couple days ago, and the woman, she was super well loved. She had people flying in from all over for her funeral, and some of her family was staying at her house, you know, during this time and before the funeral and stuff. So people were getting ready there. Some people from out of town were staying there. So the morning of the funeral, apparently one of the nieces of the deceased went into the bedroom to wake up her aunt. The other, so it was the deceased's sister that came into town. And she was fucking dead.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Died the morning of her sister's funeral that she had flown into Idaho for.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. I be like, can we do a 2-for-1? Can I just throw the other sister into the casket since we already bought one?
Well, honestly, there were thoughts like that going through their mind. I mean, not necessarily like that, but like, they're like, everybody's here, you know? And I kind of was like, you know, that goes back to that thing where you think like people hang on for a reason. I don't know how this woman died. I don't know the circumstances. Clearly she was well enough to travel, but like what a time to give out, you know, when everybody's together anyway. So they're coming into the funeral home that morning, and we get a death call to go to their house to pick up the sister and bring her into our facility, because of course they used us again.
They're like, well, we already have everyone there. Yeah.
Exactly. So as they're coming in to set up for the funeral, my partner is bringing in the sister, and I'm talking to them, and they're just in shock. And this was a really weird situation to tiptoe around, because like, if grief isn't already so fresh, it was like reopening something, you know. They were just totally in shock. And they were like, is she here? And I was like, she is. Would you like to see her? And they were like, yes. Like, one of the women, the niece, was like, yes, I would. And I was like, okay. She literally just got here 3 minutes ago. Like, we just got her in to our facility. Let me go check and get her into a place where you can view her, because we already had her in the cooler. I hate telling people they're in a cooler, though. It just feels a little dehumanizing.
Does it?
I don't know. It just feels like she's in the cooler. She's in the fridge.
I'd be happy. I'd be like, oh, good. Keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh for me.
Yeah.
She's in the crisper. So I go and I pull her out of the cooler, and I get her in the dressing room, and I put a big sheet over her because she's still on a cot. And she wasn't looking too hot. She was in a weird position. Like, she was sleeping, and her arm was like, her elbow was pulled up by her ear, like in a weird sleeping position. And she was purple, and her tongue was hanging out of her mouth. Like, she had kind of bit her tongue. And I was like, because I actually tried to put her tongue back in her mouth and like close her lips around it. And she was not. Like, she was rigor mortis bit around her tongue. I was like, oh, God.
It was like my old dog, Tiny. Do you remember Tiny? I had an old dog for 10 years that had no teeth, because she just was old, and her tongue was always just out sideways, like hanging out.
I know. Theo's tongue is always hanging out, too, because he's missing so many teeth. He was just born without, 75% of his teeth.
I always think it's so cute.
We should post pictures of both of our dogs with our tongues hanging out.
Little tongues. And the lady's little tongue out. Just like a cute puppy.
Yeah. She's poking out. So she wasn't looking too hot. So I went back to the woman. I was like, okay, I have her ready, but I just want to warn you, like, she is just as you left her. We haven't done anything. She's not been embalmed. We have not touched her. So, like, I just like to warn people, because it might be a little disarming seeing them like this. I was like, she's, kind of purple, and her tongue is kind of out. And she was like, I was actually the one who found her this morning, so I've seen already. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, I'd still like to go say goodbye. And I was like, all right. So I brought her back, and she said her goodbyes. And then as she left, she was just like, obviously still in shock. And I was like, do you think anybody of your family want to see her before we put her back? Because it's kind of a fucking process to like get them out of the cooler and roll them up the ramp. And it's like, I was already like sweating bullets. So it's a lot of work. She was heavy too. And she was like, no, everybody was in town, so they all saw her this morning already. Like, everybody saw her. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. I just can't even imagine.
Like, yeah, what a sad thing. Like, family thing. It happens in threes, though. Wonder if they have a third.
I know, God, watch out, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's like, we still don't know what we're going to do. If, cremate her, embalm her, send her back, put her on a plane. Like, we have no idea. They're like, we're just going to focus on this woman's funeral today, my aunt's funeral. I was like, that's totally fine. Like, she's like, we just want it to be separate. I'm like, that's whatever you want, we'll do. So yeah, we kept it all separate. They did announce it in the service, though, for anybody that had come to just know, like, the way they said it is, like, I think they said, we just want everybody to know that she was also preceded in death by her sister now. And like, that's all they said. So it wasn't super obvious, but like, also kind of.
Wow.
Yeah. And the funeral was packed. It was, every single seat was taken. It was super long. It was like over an hour, but it was beautiful. Honestly, it was one of my favorite funerals I've been to. They put so many personal touches. You know how I am. Like, I love it when you make it their own. They had made dozens of cookies from this woman who died, her famous cookie recipe. They made cookies and had them packaged up next to all the like pamphlets for people to grab. They made bookmarks of the cookie recipe for people to bring home. They had 5 different songs. And one of them, or two of them, were really fun. One of them was Life is a Highway. That's what they went out on. It was the last song in the service. I know. People started giggling. It was great. And then the second song of the service was Come and Get Your Love by Redbone. Come and get your love. It was so nice. And like so many of her friends came up and told stories and people were crying but laughing. And like I started choking up a little. And I've never choked up at a funeral that I've worked before. Like you could just tell that she was so loved. And she loved people too. She was a teacher and she did pottery. Like she seemed like a really cool person. And she was only like 59.
Yeah, I was about to ask their ages. And
she
like,
was
is
pretty
the sister
young.
Close in age? Or was she seem older?
I think her sister was a little bit older, but not by too much. Maybe she like 63 or something.
Yeah, still young though.
Still young, yeah. Maybe they were close enough that she was just like, I can't live without you.
Well, it's like Conan O'Brien's parents. They were in their 90s, and they both died 3 days away from each other.
Did they? I didn't know that.
They just died. Like a couple months ago, like right before he got his Kennedy Center honors, too, which sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was really sad. Like, I wish my mom and dad were here, but yeah, it was 3 days away from each other.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is crazy when that happens.
It is.
It was interesting trying to navigate that one, especially with the family, just because I've never experienced that, like a double death for them. I just kept telling them, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just have no words. It's so difficult to understand why something like this could happen. And, but it was a really nice service. And it was a fucking busy day. That was on Saturday. It was a couple days ago. And I had 3 death calls that happened during the service.
Oh,
so
wow.
or actually one happened right before I had to go take it. And then 2 happened after the service. So like once everybody got out of there, I had to skedaddle over to the morgue and like hurry up because I wanted to get home. I was 3 hours past when I was supposed to be done with my shift.
People kept dying.
But this brings me to my final little note was on my death calls that day. So they were both at the same morgue, which I was like, oh, nice. Like double.
Easy.
Like I'm just going to put 2 cots in my car. And they let me charge it as pickup. So it wasn't hourly. I got paid per pickup, So the first woman I picked up, and they didn't have record of the second one. It was super confusing. We were trying to figure it out, and I'm like, maybe they used a different hospital. Well, what happened was, and I'm going to trigger warning everybody here, it was an infant.
Oh.
So everybody knows that I've not wanted to deal with these.
Yeah.
And I was not warned ahead of time. As far as I knew, it was 2 adults. Like I had put 2 cots in my car.
I feel like you should tell someone that. Like, that's not a fun surprise.
It's not a fun surprise. But my coworker didn't even know either. Like, we didn't have an age or a name. We had a name. But the name didn't match in the system. So what had happened is this child was super premature. She was only 5 months. And she was stillborn. So the family had named the girl, but they didn't tell the hospital that name. So when they called us, they gave us the name that they had given her, but the hospital gave us just like, Baby Johnson,
Sure.
So nothing was matching. So it was
well, maybe
kind
there's
of a
no birth
confusing
certificate and stuff probably in those situations and all that. It's
Yeah.
a little bit different. Yeah.
Makes it a little bit more complicated. And I didn't know how preemie she was until I got her, and they literally handed me, it was like an 8.5 by 11, like folded paper towel almost.
Oh.
And I was like, it was so tiny. I was like, oh, like I'm glad I didn't bring my extra cot because I would have looked ridiculous. So I just had her with the other woman. I said, I said, I'm sure this other woman would feel good about doing this service, being able to carry this baby out as the last thing she does, So yeah, I went back and I processed them in, and because when I bring them back, typical stuff talked about before. You got to put their ankle bracelet on them. You got to write their name on it, get them on the board, get them in the cooler. And since I didn't know how young this child was, I opened it up so I could look to see if there's anything I could even identify or do with it. And again, if this makes people squeamish, fast forward about a minute. But I like to be transparent. So I'm going to tell it like I saw it. I unwrapped the baby, and I have never seen a preemie like that before. I mean, period. Okay, so technically, remember that one I picked up at the morgue? That it was like, it had been there for like 6 months. I didn't even open it. They said it was like skeleton and mold, you know. So this is technically the first one I've ever seen. And it was fascinating, honestly. Like, I thought I would be a little bit more affected, but it still looked so fetal that
it is kind of a fetus still, and it's probably like see-through, I'm assuming, little see-through.
So it wasn't see-through. It actually had the pigment of a liver.
Really?
Like a very kind of brown, I don't want to say gelatinous, but it was solid colored. So it wasn't translucent, but it was definitely like brownish looking. But it was, you could tell it was developing at 5 months. You could see it had all its little fingers, all its little toes. It had a tiny little facial features, but very still kind of alien looking on the face, you know. Big old head, but no skull. And yeah, that it was the size of my palm. If you hold your palm out, like you're going to high five somebody, that's about how big it was. It was about that size. And yeah, I'm glad that was the first one that I took that I was able to see, because it wasn't, I feel like I'd be different if it was like a full-term baby.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to bring down the mood here, but like I've imagined myself being able to, if I ever were to pick up a full-term baby, I don't know if I could handle it. Like, I don't know if I could put it in the cooler. Like, I feel like I would probably sit with it in a chair and like rock it and fucking hold it and break down like a fucking mother.
Well, you think that, you never know.
I don't know. I hope I don't have to, but I might, you know. But my boss has been good because we were supposed to have another baby coming in a couple days ago, and he had asked my partner to go and like measure it. He was like, I don't want to make you do it. I don't want to bring back memories. And I was like, because he didn't tell me it was a baby first. I was like, what do you mean bring back memories? I can't measure a body. And he's like, well, it was a baby. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, thank you. Like, that's the first time they've actually been vocal about being like, I don't want you to have to do this if you don't have to. I've only felt that way. So that was nice knowing, you know. He probably wouldn't have sent me on this one if he knew. He literally had no idea it was a preemie.
It's like, that's super weird not to just give a heads up on, but yeah,
super weird. So yeah, it was, I don't want to say good. That's a weird adjective to use in this circumstance, but it felt, I almost looked at it clinically and like scientifically. I thought it was really fascinating to see the development in person. You know, you see pictures, you see videos of fetuses growing in the womb, and you just only use your memory or your head. You know, you can't.
It's really
I've never seen.
I don't remember. It's like the body museum where you can go in and you can see actual bodies and like, you know what I'm talking about. There are like rooms where they would have all these fetuses and like from each month going up in like jars. They're super fascinating. It really is interesting to see, like, you know, from looking like a little pea all the, you know, kind of going up. That's why I was asking if it was see-through, because the ones that I saw kind of looked that it could just be what they were in.
Definitely more translucent beforehand. Interesting. Oh, I've always wanted to go to the body museum. I had never been able to.
The penises. So cool. They have like full-on penises, like the cut in half and stuff. And you can like see all the little vein. Oh, the best.
All the little veins.
Best when someone has a tattoo and they're like cut it in like these thin strips, like on an arm and stuff. And see where like what it looks like underneath. It's so cool.
Yeah. Did I talk about this in the last episode or two? That there's a mortuary that started their own, I think it's kind of like a sub company within their mortuary. And what they do is they preserve people's tattoos if it's requested. Like they've made a whole business out of it. Like you could have your body sent there. I think they're in like Oklahoma or something like that. And they'll preserve your tattoo for you. And like, I think they put some sort of preservatives, but they like frame it. Like it's a whole thing.
How
They don't
doesn't it
just give it
shrivel
to you in a
up?
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must use some sort of chemicals to keep it good. But
That's super cool. I mean, there's stuff that's artwork, like legit art.
totally. It's called Save Your Ink Forever. So if anybody is curious, you can go to savemyink.tattoo, and they show you. They do. And yeah, they cut around and they save it. They've got a whole thing about how you do it. It's really interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want anyone's tattoo. Would you, like, if someone, like one of your friends or something had a super badass tattoo, would you want it framed?
I don't know that I would, because it feels a little serial killer to me.
Right?
But I get it. I mean, if that's
it.
your thing, sure. But personally, it's just, I don't know. Because you can see like the skin around it too, you know? Like you can't get rid of that part. So it's very clearly somebody's skin removed.
I'm really interested how it's legal, because I know that you can't like legally like keep body parts. Like you can't like just have a skull in your house. Like there has to be like
there's different laws. It might, I don't know. I think it might depend on the state you're in. I don't know. Sorry, I got distracted looking at these pictures from the website. They're in Ohio, Northfield, Ohio. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, cool. I don't know. I guess it depends.
I like it.
Maybe it's something like how maybe it's illegal in your state to do that, but if you go somewhere else, you can have it done. Kind of how human composting is illegal in a lot of other states, but you can have your body sent to Washington State and have the composting be done, and you can take the result. You can take the compost with you back home. It's just like the actual process of doing it.
Really,
you
I didn't know you could take it back. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you take the soil back with you. Yeah. So maybe it's something similar to that. Like, oh yeah, they can't cut off tattoos in Minnesota, but send them into Ohio and we'll do that, and then we'll send them back. That's just
we're making stuff up.
We're making stuff.
But
you're not here for the facts.
We're not
always
here for
tell
facts.
you all that. Half truths.
Half truths.
But anyway, that's my death news. I'll wrap it up at that.
Ready?
Welcome. I mean, not welcome. Thank you. Round 2. Okay, so before we get into our big old story here, I have 2 small updates from some listener stories that I wanted to provide because we asked for them.
I love
and we got
updates.
them. Yes,
Yay.
super
Thank you.
fun. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to provide everybody these updates really quick before we go into our story today. So let's go with the first one. So if y'all remember that story from our friend on Reddit named Boss's Wife, remember the name?
I remember that name. Remind me of the story, because I will totally remember. But I remember the name for sure.
So to recap, she was living or is living in an old farmhouse, and her husband saw her doppelganger walking naked across the hallway.
Yes. Yep.
And ever since, all this crazy shit started happening. And the last we heard, they had a medium come to the house who had told them all sorts of stuff about the house. And her son was seeing things and started seeing things during the day when he was at football practice. He was getting weirded out. And I think he had seen like his maternal mother, like he lived with his dad and Boss's wife, quote unquote. It was technically a stepmother, but they were raising him like, she was like, that's my son, you know?
Yeah.
But he saw...
Oh, sorry. I'll just let people know. We'll make sure to, in the episode notes, to put all these episodes in. Too, so you can go back and listen if you haven't, or if you're like, oh, this sounds rad because it's really cool, you can go back and listen to that episode because it actually is a really cool story. I was just gonna say, if you need a refresher, you can just pause right now and you can go look up. It's from Show Us Your Booze, episode V4 from December of 2024. Perfect.
And you can fast forward to the 1 hour and 45-minute mark. And that is where Boss's Wife's story is.
Oh, she's on it. Look at her.
I'm on it.
I love it.
So yeah. So I'm going to just pretend everybody just paused and went to go listen to that fun little story here. Mm-hmm. So here is the update from Boss's Wife. All right. She said, we had called a pastor when the activity started getting intense. He came to our house with another pastor from our church. They seemed a little scared. They could feel how dark the energy was. They prayed, but they didn't have any idea what to do. That kind of sounds like my house in Hibbing that I've told you all about that I won't go into.
I won't tell us about.
Everybody's going to get angry
Why'd
again.
you just bring that up? I know. I'm just like,
Sorry.
oh.
Sorry. The pastor was like, fuck no, fuck this place. So the pastor told his wife, and his wife was a doctor, and she had a patient come in sometime later who
wait, you said the pastor had a wife?
Apparently this pastor had a wife.
How is that possible?
Maybe she's just like I was that day. Like, I don't know the difference between a pastor or a minister or a brother or a father or, whatever. He was a man of the church that directed their congregation who had a wife. And his wife was a doctor. And she says she had a patient come in sometime later. She asked if she could introduce us. And the woman practiced deliverance ministry. I don't know what that is, but I want to look it up. She says, we met with a team of 3 at a hotel for 2 days. We had to verbally renounce all kinds of things like Ouija boards, witchcraft, Freemasonry, astrology, etc. They asked us about what was happening. We had our son draw a picture of what entities he had seen, and then they came to our house and anointed it with oil. They walked around inside our house and told us things we needed to get rid of, and it was all kinds of things. Our son had a trunk that his granny had brought to us. It had crystals and a large hollow stone in it. There were a lot of other things they told us to get rid of. They also walked our property and pointed out a lot of areas where witchcraft or Freemason practices happened. They even used oil to anoint our vehicles. Which was like, whew, they covered all their bases. It did help immediately. The energy felt less oppressive and felt lighter. The local woman came back a few days later and said she still saw some issues. My husband had not removed some of the items. He then removed them. And then it turned out that he still didn't throw the items out.
That would be me. I would be like hiding them. Like thinking the ghosts would also be like, oh, all these items are hidden. I don't know they're still here.
I was going to say, is this all our husbands?
Yeah.
He said he threw it out. He just put the trunk in the garage. So she just ends it with, he left the trunk in the garage. We had a visitor staying in our home and she brought it in to use it and activity started back up. We took it back out and it stopped again. So
wow,
that was just a quick, short, sweet update. Very informal, but
nice.
Just it seemed to be connected with items in the home, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So
thank you
for the little update, Boss's Wife. Hopefully it stays that way. Don't bring any more shit in from the garage.
Oh, but I love a creepy haunted thing. I feel bad for her husband. I understand. That would be me if someone's like, get rid of your cool stuff. I'd be like, no.
I know.
Demons have to deal with it.
If everybody just listened, but you didn't. So a little recap. They, like in that original story, they had found this like old Native American relic. It was like a native head, like almost like art, not pottery, but they had found that like above their fridge or something. And they're like, what the fuck? And there's like animal skins with it. Yeah. I wouldn't want to get rid of that stuff either.
I would be like, oh, I'm going to keep this. This is a good find.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this last little one, you're gonna like this one. So this update is from Mrs. McHaleson 1920 on Reddit. And if you want a quick refresh on her story, go ahead and pause right now and head to the 28-minute mark of Show Us Your Booze V3. And this is the one where her and her friend found a broken mirror in the woods.
Yes.
And she brought a shard of it home. I knew you'd remember this one. Mm-hmm. And then the weird shit started happening to them, like seeing that like inhuman shadow man in the woods that was like smiling at them all creepy. And her friend was having visions. That's just a quick recap. She says, oh my God, you scared the shit out of me for a moment when one of you said, yes, you're being watched. That was you. That was you. To give you a little update, we brought the shard back to that place a few months ago. And since then, things have gotten so much better. Also, I loved your story about the old serial killer woman from prison. We'll definitely continue to listen to your lovely podcast. Wish you all the best.
Oh,
short and sweet.
I'm glad you brought it back.
Good job bringing it back. That was, I think that was definitely one of our top recommendations. Like,
yes,
put that shit back.
Yep.
If you can't put that shit back, cleanse it, do a little ceremony. But like, what the fuck? Grabbing mirrors from the woods.
Don't grab mirrors.
No
from
way,
the
no.
woods. Don't do it.
Don't do it. No. Never ends up good.
Mm-mm.
So that was just a quick recap of some stories, had a little death news, and that is all I've got for you tonight. So I'm going to chug this seltzer and I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I'll see you guys later. Cheers.
All right. Today we are going to talk about a huge case that is going on. I asked Nicole not to research it, not to look at it, anything. And I hope that you did that. Did you ever hear the name Karen Read before I mentioned it to you?
I have. And in fact, the moment you start talking, I'm probably bells are gonna go off and be like, oh, yeah.
Yes.
All I have done is pull her picture up so I can get a visual. And that's it.
Good. So this case we're talking about today is about the death of John O'Keefe, and then right now the trial of his girlfriend Karen Read. Now this is an ongoing case. We are giving you the updated information up to May 5th, 2025. Today was the 9th day of our second trial. That might not mean anything to you, but I just wanted to put that out there in case you're coming from the future.
Coming from the future.
I will keep it updated though in our stories, like I said, and then also because Lori Vallow's case, which is a case that we did before, needs some updating. What I'm going to do is when this case is over, I'm going to do a little mini-sode for you guys.
Nice.
With some updates.
Great.
So be prepared for that. So if you're in the future, that's okay. Otherwise, guys, I have been watching this case every single day, having it in the background. It's been like 8 hours a day. It has been my life.
Yeah.
My entire life for weeks.
Love it.
This is all I've been doing.
She has engrossed herself.
I have engrossed myself for you guys. I think I have listened to every podcast and stuff, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is going to be the best one. I'm just throwing it out there. This is going to be
a tall order. You think she could do it, guys?
Yes. I feel good about this. I think I have read everything, watched everything. So let's get into it. Let's start from the beginning. It was the night of January 28th, 2022, when Karen Read and her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, nicknamed JJ, decided to go out for a few drinks together when they were just meeting some friends. Now, John and Karen visited 2 bars that night in Canton, Massachusetts, so Mass, which is about 15 miles from Boston. So it's just like a little suburb town. Right outside of Boston. If you're watching the case, everyone has pretty badass Boston accents, which is one of my favorite accents.
Got the East Coast, that Boston.
Boston. So, and these 2 full Boston accents. Love it. So at the second bar, they met up with several friends and acquaintances, including fellow police officer Brian Albert. Now, John himself was a 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department, which is probably why I had that good Boston accent. Shortly after midnight, the crew wanted to keep their party going, so Brian, one of the police officers, invited everyone over back to his home, also in Canton, Mass. And Karen and her boyfriend decided, let's go. And they went together in her SUV. Something sinister had happened between the drive from the bar to Brian's house that no one except the people that were there knows what happened. Facts are that in the morning of January 29th, 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe's body was found by his girlfriend in a pile of snow. So let's get into this motherfucker. Let's talk about the couple. Now, who are Karen and John, and why did a fun night turn into a crime scene? Now, Karen Read was born in 1980 and grew up also in Massachusetts and Virginia. She graduated with a bachelor's degree and master's degree in finance and worked as a financial analyst at Fidelity investment since 2007. So she kind of did what I used to do, guys. She is also a professor at Bentley University. Now, John O'Keefe was about 5 years her senior and also grew up in Massachusetts and earned a master's degree in criminal justice. Now, this couple first met when they were young and in their 20s. And, it was a few dates and all that, and it didn't work out due to job responsibilities. But it wasn't until the COVID pandemic in 2020 when John reached out to Karen online and said, "Hey, blast in the past. How are things going?" And from then on, their relationship became solid. Now, one thing about John, what I've researched, he seems like a pretty fun, solid dude. Now, he had been raising his niece and nephew for 8 years, gaining custody of the two after in 2014, they had lost their mother and their father in the span of a few months.
Poor kids.
Yeah, so he took over and raised his niece and nephew, which is very honorable of him.
Yeah.
And it sounded like Karen seemed to fit right into their little family that John made there. And all the friends up until this night really liked Karen. They said how great she was. They really seemed happy together. And the couple did seem to be doing great the second time around. But as we learned, not all things were as they seemed, which I think happens with a lot of couples, as we know. The reason we know this is because all day that day, right before this party, they were texting. And they were going through some battles. And we don't have to go too much into that because I don't personally feel that goes into the story too much. I feel like they keep making this case about like this couple's fight that they had a night and a drunken night. But I think all of us who've been in relationships have done some stupid drunk fightings. And I don't think it has anything to do with this. But they really focus on that a lot. And just know that that day, even though they seem pretty happy,
it was a rough day. They set it aside and
rough day as a couple. So throughout the day, before their plans with each other and friends, the couple continued to fight. Like I said, at about 5:14 p.m., Karen texted, "I know your heart isn't in this anymore. I felt it for a while and especially lately. I'm willing to try more, but not if you are approaching this from a point of indifference." So, there was a problem, but by about 8:33 p.m., they talked about, we're still going to go out with friends. We're going to have a good night. And everyone said, the night was well. They seemed happy. Their main point of contention was actually John believed that Karen spoiled the kids too much. But, if that's the biggest point of contention, that's not too bad.
No, yeah. Spoil those babies.
No. Spoil those babies. So Karen did push that night for them to go out with drinks to hopefully, reconcile their differences and have a great night. While the relationship may have been faltering, John did have something to go out for. His friend Mike Camerano had a birthday party, so they're like, let's just do it all together. We'll go out with friends, have a few drinks. Now, Mike said under oath that Karen and John had a warm embrace when she showed up at the bar. Mark said that they had a pretty good relationship, but did note some jealousy in the relationship, stating they did everything together. You could see at times that she didn't want other women around John. So this seemingly happy couple continued their night at the Waterfall Bar and Grill across the street until midnight, when they decided to go to that drive to Brian's house. Now, the house was only 5 minutes away from the bar, and everyone was intoxicated in this group. But why not drink and drive, right? Especially for all police officers. All of them are police officers. All of them are heavily intoxicated.
Oh, God.
So John himself literally left the bar with a cocktail glass in his hand, just living his best life, and had it in the car.
Oh, my
Karen
God.
was driving with a vodka soda.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So fun night for these officers.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we know about that night? What are the facts about what we know? So much is in dispute of what happened between them finding John's body that next morning. After leaving the bar, all we know is that the couple had arrived near the house. John did get out of the vehicle, and Karen did drive back to John's home. Now, Karen has changed her stories a few times. According to Karen, the plan was that she would drop him off at the friend's party and later meet him at the house. That was one story. Another plan was that she said she did not necessarily know if they were invited to the party or not, and she thought that maybe John was just drunk and inviting himself. So she made him go in and do like a check, walk in, just make sure they're cool with us being here type of deal. And she said she sat in the car for like 10 minutes and he didn't come back out, and she just got really pissed off and left him. Now, there are several angry text messages between that time that corroborate that story. Like, where the fuck are you type of deal. I'm just going to go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
okay.
she texted all night when she got back to his house because she was mad.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a mad girlfriend type of deal. They were drinking. Why didn't you come back out for me?
Mm-hmm.
All that. Getting drunk. And she ended up passing out on his couch for a few hours. That is when she woke up around 4:40 a.m. and realized he was not there. Growing concerned, especially due to that massive snowstorm that was happening outside, Karen decided to call one of John's friend, Jennifer, who was at that party. Jennifer said, I don't see him. He wasn't there. And they both got concerned. Why isn't he home?
Mm-hmm.
Did he leave? Yeah. Jennifer said he didn't even come in the house. So that's when she's like, just wait, Karen. I'm going to drive over there. I'll pick you up and we'll go immediately start searching for him.
Yeah.
So this search was actually these three women. So it was Karen, Jennifer, and one of John's friends named Carrie, who all went together. So the three women searched his home at first, trying to find clues, thinking maybe she had passed out, maybe John came home, but there was nothing in the house showing that he ever arrived home. So they ended up, let's go drive to Brian's house, see if we can find any clues. Now remember, Karen and John had been going to bars and drinking, an amount where neither of them shouldn't have been driving that night. Mm-hmm. According to videos between the two bars, Karen had at least 9 beverages, and she was drinking vodka soda, even on the car ride. Like
Holy
I was saying.
Shit, that's a lot of drinks.
And that's what we know of.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what's recorded.
Yeah.
Now, some say this has caused Karen to not remember what actually happened that night because she may have been too intoxicated. But when they took her blood alcohol content that next morning, she was a little bit above the legal limit, which was 0.135, which means 4 hours earlier, she for sure was intoxicated. Blackout drunk, I don't know. That depends on the person.
Yeah. Tolerance and whatnot.
Yeah. But Karen disagrees to all this. She says, I remember everything. She says her and John had a light buzz. In her interview with 2020, she said she maybe had 4 drinks and that the other ones were just mere sips, like she was sipping them. Mm-hmm. In her words, she said, I didn't get blacked out, but I wasn't as lucid as I would have been if I went to bed at 9 and had some tea. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you weirdos take that information as what you wish.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. So, still kind of intoxicated, hours later, Karen and the two drove around the snowstorm to look for John. That is when they started pulling up to Brian's house, and Karen immediately pointed out a body laying in the front yard of Brian's house. Karen immediately jumped out of the car, screaming, ran over to his body, and started giving CPR.
Yeah.
To him.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer called 911 as Karen tried to, wake him up. It was at 6:04 a.m. when Camden Police, Fire, and EMS responded to the scene. Now, there are videos of this, but not the same as, we see now, which is weird, because this wasn't that long ago, but you can't see the officer's, camera. You can see a camera from inside the car,
yeah,
if that makes sense, but not on the body, which is kind of sucks in this case.
Yeah,
and you'll learn why.
Yeah.
It sucks in this case. So Karen began to say how if John was dead, she would take her own life while they were trying to work on him. So while they were trying to work on John, they were also trying to grab Karen to make sure, for her mental well-being, because she has found her boyfriend, possibly dead. She didn't know yet.
Yeah, that's traumatic.
Traumatic, right? So they rushed both of them to Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, where John was pronounced dead at the scene. Karen was only a few rooms away from him, and she heard all of it. Mm-hmm. She kept asking if he was okay, but no one would tell her. It was her father who actually came in and had to break the news to her. She fell on the floor at the hospital crying in her father's arms. Yeah. So Karen was released later that day. The police said she was safe. and that she could go. She was able to leave with her father, so they felt safe doing that. Karen and her father immediately went over to John's family's house to be with the family during this, because Karen said they had a great relationship, and like I said, everyone before this really did like Karen. That is when John's brother told Karen and said that his body looked like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson. His mother, though, immediately snapped and said, I think it looks like he got hit by a car, suggesting that Karen hit him.
Interesting.
Yeah. That is when his brother left the room for a second and took a phone call from the police and was staring at Karen, and all the room went silent. That's when the police officer was saying they believe that Karen hit him with the car. And she's in this room.
So she wasn't hearing it. Was she on speaker? Like, could she hear?
No, he was on the phone, like hearing this information,
like,
and she said
like
that all of a sudden she's
like,
like, yeah, and like the room just went silent, and she didn't feel welcomed anymore. You know, she's like, I don't know what to do, and so she decided to left and be with her family and her father. Yeah, that would be a weird, like, energy. I wouldn't want to be there either if everybody thinks I fucking killed him. Yeah. Exactly. So let's talk about the initial investigation, like that morning. So Massachusetts State Police Trooper Michael D. Proctor was the lead investigator in this case, and we're going to talk about Proctor a lot. Now, according to police, pieces of cocktail glass and patches of blood were found alongside John's body. So remember, he brought that cocktail glass with him from the bar.
Yep.
So it was hard to see so much because this snowstorm was brutal and it was dark. Even if there was like the best detectives in the world there and on their game, it would have been hard for them. And you can see this in the videos. Like, this was blizzard. You couldn't see in front of your face snowstorm. Yep. So if it was good detectives, it would be hard. But guys, this was kind of mediocre detective work. The worst thing I heard, to collect evidence, these dudes didn't even use evidence bags. They started going to neighbors' houses and banging on their door, you know, like really early in the morning, to ask them, hey, do you guys like have any bags or anything to collect evidence? Like, they literally took a neighbor's red Solo cups and paper garbage bags and were like scooping up like blood and stuff off the ground with them.
What? How are you not prepared for this?
No, especially because you went back. Your initial, this dead body.
Yeah.
You think there's foul play.
Yeah.
And then you just
all
show
roads
up.
point to get your shit and let's get some evidence.
Yeah. Like, start knocking at neighbors'
a Solo cup.
You guys have anything to collect evidence? Like, could you imagine, like...
I'd be like, can I see your badge?
Right? Pretty crazy. So they did that, and they decided to, take Karen's car, which she was totally fine with. She's like, take it. She gave him her phone. She's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Whatever going to help. Yeah, nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide here. So because of the snowstorm, after they did their first initial thing that morning, they came back that night to investigate again for a second time. That is when they brought leaf blowers, guys, to move the snow around, which is just blowing shit everywhere.
Oh, no. It's just DNA snowstorm blowing everywhere. Right? Oh, my God.
And during that second search, that is when they found multiple pieces of taillight.
Oh.
Right next to his body.
Okay.
Now, prosecutors came to the conclusion that Karen was intoxicated and accidentally struck John with the vehicle while driving in reverse and then fled, leaving him to die in a snowy cold. It all made sense. There was fighting that night. They know it by text message. Everyone is heavily drinking. Broken taillight was by him, all of it. So on February 1st, 2022, Karen Reed was arrested and charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of a collision. Cut and dry, right? Are we done? Fuck no, y'all. I wouldn't share this story if it wasn't about to get fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wild. This case is wild. So Karen Reed insists she was completely innocent. She said she was not intoxicated enough to run over her boyfriend, let alone leave him to die in the snow. She's like, I wasn't even close to that drunk.
Yeah.
So next day, Karen gets out on $80,000 bail and then spends the next few years of her life doing everything to defend her innocence and also uncovering a huge corruption behind the Boston Police Department. Now, this case has people divided, and there's many reasons why, and we'll go into it. Mainly because there's so much evidence pointing at something extremely dark happening that night.
Okay.
So, yeah, everyone's on one side or another, and I'm going to be interested to see what our weirdos say on this case, because I kept going into it and just trying to go by facts.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't have an answer for you guys. So if you're coming here for like opinions, I'll give you some opinions, but I don't.
Were you like waffling? Like, yeah, no, yeah.
I
no,
thought I'd
maybe.
come to a conclusion, but I haven't yet. But I'm excited. We'll talk about it at the end and see what you come up with.
Okay.
So let's start with the autopsy. So on January 31st, 2022, the medical examiner determined John had suffered multiple skull fractures consistent with blunt force trauma that led to bleeding from the brain.
Mm-hmm.
He also had 2 swollen black eyes and several abrasions and scrapes on his arm. There were 0 broken bones. So the autopsy ruled that hypothermia was a contributing factor to his death, but that this man had obviously seemed to went through far, worse than just a normal, like, drunken hit and run.
Yeah.
Which the prosecutors were saying it is. Now, one thing that someone has me comforted about him dying from hypothermia, because I didn't actually know this and I had to research it, was that hypothermia is actually one of the most peaceful ways to die. Have you heard this?
Really?
Yeah, and I was like looking, I'm like, well, Everest, and I'm like, this makes sense.
So I just started thinking of Everest. I was like, did we ever talk about that, Everest?
Yeah, so I guess, and I've heard this from people who have almost died on Everest, like documentaries, is where instead of, like, you're feeling cold, obviously, you are, and then all of a sudden your body gets really warm and almost comforted, and you fall asleep, like, calmly.
Oh, that sounds lovely, actually.
Yeah. So the fact that he died that way, I'm actually happy. And if he was intoxicated, hopefully that did help.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a, suffering.
Miserable.
I don't know about all the bruises all over him, though, like what happened before.
Yeah.
Which is super weird.
Do they know if those injuries could have happened post-mortem?
We'll find out.
Okay.
His cause of death, according to the person who did the autopsy, was considered undetermined.
Ah.
Pisses me off.
Same
as my dad, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Same as my dad. That shit pisses me off.
It's just such an open book.
It is. It's like, it could be homicide. It could be this type of death. It's just, it's hard. So let's talk about the defense. We just talked about, autopsy, what the prosecutors think happened. So that April, Karen and her attorneys brought forward a compelling theory based on this autopsy and the crime scene that Brian, John's friend, who was at the house, had possibly hurt his friend John. So Brian was known to be a hothead when drunk, and he was drunk. And he would get things out of hand, and they did what looked like had a little quarrel at the bar, according to cameras. But all the police officers who were there were like, no, they didn't fight at all. Which was interesting.
The cameras tell a different story, but okay.
Yeah. Another theory was that John was attacked by one of the property's dogs because the autopsy shows marks that look like dog attacks, like almost scratches and bites, like scrapes against him. So, like, even though, like, everyone's, like, at first, before they, like, heard Karen's story, thought, like, oh, you're crazy. But when you look at the autopsy, it totally could be, looks like he could be attacked by a dog.
Oh, you can see autopsy photos?
Yes. You can see, like, where he's done. So this girl had a fucking case. So on March 12, 2024, Karen's attorneys filed a motion to dismiss the case due to conflicts and because his injuries were fully inconsistent from a damage to her car. His injuries were consistent with being attacked. That was their defense. So the judge denied the motion due to extensive evidence supporting the indictments. That, John's DNA was actually found on those broken taillights. The broken taillight did belong to Karen's car. So the broken taillight should be a slam dunk when it comes to their evidence that Karen hit John. But facts are that the cops did not find that evidence the first time around.
Oh, surprise.
They didn't find it till after they got her car. So was it planted?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. This is some Making a Murderer shit. It kind of reminds me of that. Making a Murderer where Stephen Avery, where it was like, God, you could see both sides for so long.
Yeah.
Or like maybe even if he did do it, like I do obviously 100% believe he did do it, but I do believe that there was still planted evidence.
Yeah.
Like the cops were just trying to make their case more. Like, is that it?
Yeah, like it wasn't black and white.
Yeah. But we don't know. So the court case. Now, before a court case in early April of 2024, protests actually began happening outside the court in support of Karen, to the point where they actually had to put special barriers out in place because, you know, there is freedom of speech type of deal, but they didn't want the jurors to, like, you know, see that and be like, why are they supporting her? Like, they don't know they're not supposed to know anything about this case.
Yeah, you gotta keep them, what do you call it? Keep them sequestered. Sequester them bitches.
Keep them in there. Yes. So like I said, the judge did approve all this and the protest to be there, but there was a thing that she put down, like you're not allowed to wear anything with like Karen Reed's face on it, or like a sign within so many like feet of a thing. Yeah. But what that ended up happening was all the protesters started wearing all pink, like in support of her. Yeah. So even though it's not like a face,
yeah,
you know. All pink,
tricky.
Like a little uniform.
Yeah.
So this case has been called the Boston Civil War in courts, mainly because of supporters of Karen. It has gotten to the point where her supporters now, are actually going and harassing like people involved in the case.
Oh boy.
So so usually you hear that from the cops.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in a minute, but Karen actually has a following of these people like going out and intimidating people. And what's people don't like about Karen is she fully supports this. And she says she supports it because she's fighting for her life. And she's tired of being intimidated by cops.
Yeah.
So it's time for them to be intimidated.
Yeah.
So she's really like...
I mean, I could see taking that stance if I were her too. Like if it is really a matter where it's going to fuck your whole life up, like what do you got to lose? Go all in.
Well, a lot of people are saying, because Karen comes from a wealthy background, and which is why she's able, like she's, like you said, has pretty much quit her job and dedicated the last 3 years of her life on this case. But she says, like, they're trying to get me for life. Yeah. Like this, I'm spending all my money, all my time. Like there's videos of her, like she's in there, like she's helping her lawyers. Yeah. Like she's in the room with her lawyers through the whole thing. Yeah. Like she is a smart woman. Like she knows what she's doing. And she's right. You have to be that way if you're going against all of Boston police. Sure. Which she's saying that's her thing. You know. Now supporters are saying, you know, it's not even about Karen. And she even says this too. It's not about her. It's not about if you like her or not. What they're saying is like Karen could be one of us. Karen could be your mom or your daughter. Yeah. You know, even she said, it's not about me, but what about's happening to me? And it kind of reminds me of like Luigi, you know. Yeah, the Luigi. Who ended up, murdering someone. Allegedly, guys. Allegedly. It's kind of one of those things like, everyone's like, well, he did this bad or he did this bad, which you can't really find anything too bad on the guy. He seems like a pretty stand-up guy. But it's one of these things where it's not about necessarily who he is as a person. It's about what he stands for. You know, and it sounds like Karen supporters are putting Karen into that place, like someone standing up to these Boston police. Yeah, who are doing this. Yeah, one of her top supporters online, and a lot of people who follow this case might have heard the name Turtle Boy. He's actually a dude that really leads the charge of the Karen Reed protest. He's actually someone who's getting sued right now for intimidating people in this trial. Oh, so I don't know this guy. Turtle Boy. Yeah, Turtle Boy, I don't know this guy. I'm not following anything, so I'm not trying to do, like, too many conspiracy theories, which it sounds like there might be. But again, it's a lot of the conspiracy theories in this case are coming true. Yeah. So it's up to you guys. I didn't try to get information from a blogger, though. Nothing against you, Turtle Boy. I think you're doing an awesome job.
I was going to say, is he the same Turtle Boy from Turtle Boy? You know what I'm talking about? No. I like turtles. Turtles. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. That guy? It's not the same guy, right?
No, not the same guy.
He just happens to be, like, it was a genuine question. Like, maybe he is the Turtle Boy.
He considers himself a journalist, kind of like an independent journalist type of deal. And he's the one that's really got all his supporters. He's the one that's really got her case out there online where it's as big as it is. So, and she gives him information, too, to put out there. Like, she's happy he's doing it. Which, again, Karen says she needs to do to be able to fight against the police. I get it. Now, through all this chaos, Karen was at first charged with manslaughter, of course.
Mhm.
But through all this, they decided before the case to upgrade it to second-degree murder. Now,
Oh.
let me read those definitions to you, the difference between it.
Say, on what basis?
Yeah, so the main difference between manslaughter and second-degree murder are intent. Second-degree murder involves intent to kill, while manslaughter does not. So the severity is second-degree murder typically carries heavier sentences than manslaughter because it's not premeditated, that's first degree, but you're intending to kill someone.
Yeah, like if we just got in a fight and I was at your house and I didn't plan on killing you that night, but it happened while we were fighting, that's second degree.
That's second
But
degree.
if I had planned the night before, I'm going to go over to Dini's house and I'm going to get in an argument, I'm going to kill her.
That's first
Then you're
degree.
first degree. Yeah.
And then manslaughter is you accidentally hit me with your car.
Yeah, you may not even known you did it.
Yep, absolutely. So on April 16th, 2024 is when her trial begins. So let's start with the prosecutor's evidence, what they have to say she did this. So the prosecution argued that Karen Reed intentionally ran over her boyfriend after a heavy night of drinking and emotions. Now, their evidence was that pieces of Karen's broken taillight were found at the scene, suggesting she hit him with the vehicle. Debris from John's clothing, microscopic pieces with like red and clear like
Brake
pieces
light
from his clothes
pieces.
were actually found within the taillight.
Mm-hmm.
There is also hair of John's found in her car that shows like he might have come in contact with it from the outside.
Like there was hair on the outside of the car?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to...
Yep. He was also missing one shoe, which I guess is a common thing when you get hit by a car that your shoes fly off.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. There were also scratches that were analyzed, and there was no dog DNA on that. So remember how we were talking about that,
bites and scratches.
bites, that there should be dog DNA. Right?
Yeah.
Multiple witness. Yep.
They confirmed, obviously, I had this question earlier, but I didn't know if it was going to ruin it, that it is her taillight. Like they went to her car and
It's her taillight.
It's hers.
Yep, it's her taillight that they found on the second search, remember, after they got her car.
Yeah.
They didn't find it on the first search.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's there. It is her taillight.
Key point. Second search.
Second search. There's also multiple witnesses there that night. They're reported hearing saying when she arrived there, "Did I hit him? I hit him. I accidentally hit him several times." We do.
Oh.
Yes. No one in the house who were there at that party reported seeing John come into the house that night. So while everyone was partying inside, like Jennifer, the friend, was like texting him all night, like, "Hey, when are you coming? When are you coming?" Like there are people who
just
said
assuming he didn't even show up.
he didn't even show up. So Carrie Roberts, one of John's friends, claims that Karen called around 5 a.m. and said she was scared John was dead and hit by a plow. So why would she say that?
Oddly specific.
Yes, why would she say that? I'll say, guys, she denies all this. This is
So those are just testimony by other people.
Because you have to remember, there's no cameras of the cops like hearing her say this, but all the people that are there saying she said this. But no, we can't hear it. This is all hearsay.
It's hearsay.
Hearsay. So EMTs claim that there was grass underneath John's body along with his cell phone, coming to the conclusion that John was hit earlier before the snowstorm because the snow was on top of him.
Yep.
There were also no footsteps from the house anywhere near his body. So, like, if they were moving his body,
narrow down the time. Yeah.
Yep. You'd see that. You'd see that a little bit. Again, this is a crazy storm, but the prosecutors are putting this forward as evidence. Now, the state police crash analyst, Trooper Joseph Paul, testified data that Reed's SUV indicated the car shifted into reverse and accelerated at 24.2 miles per hour before it suddenly dropped to 23.6, like, during. So it kind of was like, I don't know how they could find this, but it did seem like at a certain time, like her car went back fast and then forward fast, like she was rushing off. I didn't know they could check this stuff in cars.
Wow, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess fucking depends on the year of the car these days, diagnostics, tread marks.
Yeah.
You know,
So interesting.
it's pretty amazing.
It is. So they did show that happening in the vehicle again, but it was slippery, it was snowy, which can cause that too.
Yeah.
But they're taking it as evidence. So during John's mother's testimony, she was in like tears, sharing how she found out that her son had passed away. She told the jury that Karen called her at 5 a.m., a little more than an hour before finding John's body, and screamed, "Carrie, Carrie, Carrie, John's dead," and hung up the phone. It is circumstantial, again, hearsay, but it would show that Karen knew she had killed John. Maybe the meditation. So let's talk about the defense. We talked about the prosecution. It sounds like she could have done it, right? Like those are all things. Sounds like she could have done it.
Compelling points.
Compelling points. So here's talk about the defense's evidence, though, which makes this case so wild. So Karen and her team argued she was being framed as part of a law enforcement cover-up to protect a group of cops involved in John's murder. Now, their defense was that John was beaten inside of the house by another Boston police officer, Brian Albert, and then left outside to die in the snow. Her lawyers argued that Brian Albert, his nephew Colin, and their friend, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms agent Brian Higgins, had the means and motives to kill John O'Keefe instead. Now, those are all really big people in the community. So what are the evidence that they might have something to do with this? So there were close relationships between the lead investigator, Trooper Michael Proctor, and Brian's family, which is a huge conflict of interest. So the main person who came with the investigation was good friends with all the family that were in that house that day.
Yeah.
Brian's house was never searched, guys. Never.
What? That is such a ball drop.
Not only that, you have to realize, like, outside, 6 a.m, there's fire trucks. They're screaming. Like, Karen's screaming. Like, there's video of, like, her running and screaming. Like, chaos. The people in the house are police officers. They never even come out to check what's happening.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, why wouldn't you do that? The fact that you're a police officer.
Yeah.
Something crazy is happening outside. Like, your friend's dead outside, and you're not going to run outside.
Yeah.
You're not going to help with the investigation?
Any just normal human that's not a police officer would likely go do that. But you're a police officer, you have that extra, like, sixth sense and duty and, you know.
How fucked up is that? Like, why wouldn't you go outside? And I would check my friend. Like,
That's
what
fishy.
the fuck?
It's a little fishy.
Brian also got rid of his dog immediately after John's death and immediately got rid of his house.
Ooh, what?
Immediately.
Not suspicious at all.
Don't be suspicious. Don't
Don't
be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
If that's not bad enough, guys, Brian also destroyed his phone and got a new one. I'm not talking about just destroying. I'm talking about he put it into different places, cut up his SIM card, and was dropping it off, pieces of it, at a military base.
What?
Why?
Why? Exactly.
Am I blowing your guys' mind? It's going to keep getting crazier. See, Karen has
that's what I do with all of my expired credit cards, but I mean.
Yeah, not me. Man, I'm just like, this is crazy. This is all new level.
What the fuck?
So we were talking about how multiple people at the scene claimed that they heard Karen saying that she hit him, and she was like going hysterical and running back and forth as she hit him. But there's 0 videos, 0 written notes. Like, if you're going to a scene, you're a police officer, and someone's yelling, "Oh, I hit him," you're going to write that in notes. You're probably going to put him in your car. None of that happens. And no one even talks about her saying this until 3 days later.
3
days later, it came up.
Wow.
Speaking of, like, missing stuff, there's so much missing camera footage. Like, crucial camera footage has fully disappeared, including the Ring camera footage from Brian's house that night, a municipal camera that runs 24/7 at the library down the street that they have control of. Now, when I say missing, it's not the whole video. It's like the few minutes that they would see what they needed to see. Yes, guys.
Yeah, it's like almost like it would have been more believable if you just, like, the whole video cut out, or like a couple hour period where maybe power went out or something, you know, like, but just like Very
Yeah.
convenient little clips right where they should be cut out.
Like, you're not even trying, guys. Like,
Yeah.
you're not even trying. Around 2 a.m. time, so 2 a.m. that night, there was a flurry of calls between all the people in the house, making it, were they looking for John's cell phone? Like, maybe they got rid of the body and they're trying to find his cell phone to get rid of that with them? Were they making plans? They were like few seconds here and there.
Yeah.
Why is that?
At what time?
Around 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Not a good time.
Mm-mm.
There are 9 unaccounted for phone calls between Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, and Jennifer McCabe. So 3 people in the house, 2 police officers in those early hours in the morning when they said, oh, there was no way. I was at home sleeping. But there's multiple calls between them.
Yeah.
All 9 of them between these 3 people, they said were butt dials, guys.
Okay. You playing some
Butt
sort of butt
dials.
dial game?
9 butt dials?
That's insane. That's a lot. That's a lot of
Why?
active butts.
Oh, yeah. When you're sleeping, you're like, oh, 3 people? 3 people? All right.
Wait,
the crime,
do we know what time the snowstorm started?
It was pretty, it was like, it started like snowing while they were at the bar, but it got really bad. Like when they were searching and stuff. It was like in the middle of the night type of deal.
Okay.
Which is why John, he was in grass, possibly, if he was early. But we'll talk a little bit into that too, where there could be another reason for that.
Okay.
Also, guys, remember how he said we had 2 times that day that they searched the scene? There were hours where there was no cops there at all. They left it completely unsupervised.
Rookie move.
Rookies. Now, remember the taillight? You know, the prosecutor's big ticket, the one they're like, well, this shows she's killing it. Well, the defense has video of Karen's taillight fully intact that night from John's ring cam when she arrived at his house that night. And then there's also video of her going out that night, like just backing up and slightly backing up into his car, right exactly where her taillight was broken.
She backed into his car?
Yep. Now you can't see it broken, but you can see her like back up and like it kind of bounce into his car right where her taillight was, which would show how her taillight could be broke. Also showing she's drunk driving.
That's true. And
but
this ring cam also had footage conveniently cut?
Not this one.
Not this one?
So this shows her going there, shows her getting there, shows, you know, her switch around, and also show her backing up into a car.
Okay.
So
we
now I
have
can
an
keep going
explanation for that.
There's some. She has explanations. Now I can keep going on about that fucking taillight because they didn't find any of it in the scene until way after, not until 5 or 6 p.m. that night. What makes it even crazier, guys, is it wasn't even just like a few pieces. There was 46 pieces they found within minutes all around him. Like, they're like, oh, another piece. Oh, another piece.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's a snowstorm, but you're scooping up shit with your red Solo cups. You're going to find at least one piece if there's 44 pieces. There's so many pieces of taillight. Like, that's weird.
Maybe
That's
this
weird.
murder case should be called The Taillight.
The taillight.
The Karen Reed story.
Now, to top that even more, guys, the cops said that the car had not been searched yet, and it was kept in the garage, which is they're saying, we didn't even go see the car yet when we found the taillights. Like, we didn't even know your tail is broken. So Karen's team demanded the footage. Like, give us the footage from the garage then. We want to see the all night, you know, that time frame to show no one's doing it. They refused to send it at first, and when they sent it, guys, you can watch this, they sent it backwards, where the video's flipped. Why would they send the video flipped? And all of a sudden, you see like a little head bouncing over by her taillight. Guess who it is? Motherfucking Proctor. Hanging out by her right taillight.
Oh, busted.
Maybe. Because people still believe that cops didn't do it, but why are you and then saying that you
And
didn't
why are you
do
lying?
it?
Yeah, why are you
Why
lying?
are you lying?
Why wouldn't you just admit, yeah, I went there to check it out, but I didn't, I didn't do it.
That's what drives me crazy about it. Like, why lie? Again, I keep thinking of this case of making a murder. With the cops, why lie?
Yeah.
Like, why are you lying? Like, if you have him, like, if you have someone to a point where you're like, I can convict someone on murder.
Yeah.
Like, why plant?
Why would you? Yeah.
Oh. So this Proctor dude admitted under oath that he sent a series of sexist and offensive text messages about Karen after this. Like finding the body, calling her a whack job cunt, and mocking her medical issues. This asshole is also caught commenting to like his coworkers that he was going through her phone because he was involved in the evidence, and he was complaining that he hadn't found any nudes on her phone.
Ew. Gross.
He also sent a text message saying that he hopes that Karen would kill herself.
Ew. Classy.
Yeah, so like this guy's just like a big dick.
Piece of shit, yeah.
Are you a piece of shit because you think your friend died? But like, you're still like, I'm sorry, like, I shouldn't say you're planting, but even if she did do it, I think you're planting some stuff. Why are you calling people? All right. Like we were also saying too, John's injuries were not consistent with a car collision, which was also confirmed by a number of experts, including 2 accident reconstruction experts that were obtained by the FBI, the prosecutors obtained. Now, these searches did look like dog scratches, but again, 0 dog DNA. But guys, guess what type of DNA they did find in those scratches? Pig DNA.
Wait, what?
You ready to hear this?
What?
You want to hear this? Because I was just like, what the fuck? Because this was really cool in the case that came out. Pig DNA. Why would there be pig DNA? Was he attacked by a pig? Or there was actually another case, guys, where a dog was chewing on a bone, like a pig's bone.
Like rawhide? Yeah.
Rawhide. And then bit someone, and it was like the pig DNA. It like showed the pig DNA. So that could explain.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe
that has never crossed my mind. But that's an interesting thought. Yeah.
It's super interesting. Also, Brian Lundgren, which was a Canton snowplow driver, testified that he was like plowing the streets and he saw no one outside 34 Fairview Road in the early hours of January 29th.
Like
and
he would have seen a body if everybody else rolled up and saw this body right away.
Yeah. So it's like where he was, it wouldn't show like if Karen hit him, it would probably be around 12:30 around that time. So his body would have been there a long time, where Brian saw no body like hours and hours later. And like everyone was like, well, there was a snowstorm, everything like that. But this Brian guy was like, no, I would have seen him where it was. I would have seen him.
Yeah.
There was also evidence of one of the party goers seeing Karen sitting in the car outside. Like, remember how she said, I was sitting outside for like 10 minutes, got pissed, and drove alone off? There was someone who saw her when they were walking into the house, one of the party goers, by herself in the car. Like 10 and 2. They said she had 10 and 2 on, sitting there.
Yeah.
So she was
that
possibly alone.
story's corroborated. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Apple Health data also indicates that John took 80 steps and climbed 3 flights of stairs, arriving when he arrived at 34 Fairview Road. Which, again, one of those crazy things like we were talking about the car, that his, like, watch could, like, say, like, he was doing steps. Which shows that, like, he was possibly walking into a house at that time.
That's not a lot of steps when you think about it. And then that's all the record.
Yeah.
Huh.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
So some scandalous, super circumstantial shit, but we'll put this out. Karen and one of John's co-workers, Brian Higgins, who was at that party, were exchanging flirty texts well before this party. They even shared a kiss at some point. So not necessarily an affair, but like something a little flirty. Now, Karen is presenting this as evidence that shows there was a possible motive. Like maybe John found out that his friend, who's supposed to be like his police officer friend, was like flirting with his girlfriend, which could be a motive.
Yeah.
So her lawyers are playing out that John possibly went inside the house through the basement. So some of those guests might not have seen him. And he was attacked, and maybe there was a fight that went on. Something that went too far. I also want to state, too, I know it seems kind of cruel that Karen was having an affair on a now dead boyfriend. But in her defense, and I do want to give her defense here, she said that her and John were in the process of breaking up, and they were. The text messages.
Yeah.
She said it ran her course. She's like, I was not married to him and attached anyway. They shared no house. They shared nothing.
Yeah. From those early messages, it sounded like she said that. Like I felt that for a while. It's run its course. Yeah.
And I feel like people are kind of, and I'm not a Karen stan at all, because like I said, I don't know if she did it or not. And I know people can come at me for I don't know.
Sure.
But what I can say is, like, even with this, people are like, God, Karen seems to be going on with her life really quick. And if she was so sad about a boyfriend. But she says, she's like, I've had 3 years where I'm fighting for my life. Like, people are trying to put me into my life. This was someone that I loved, but we were breaking up.
Yeah.
It's like I have to move on with my life. And I'm fighting for my life. So
it's a weird thing about how you expect people to act, and should you expect people to act a certain way? And the answer is no, you shouldn't. You don't know.
Absolutely. You don't know what someone's going to do. So one of the biggest piece of evidences for Karen was that Jennifer, the friend who helped search for the body, Googled that night how long it takes to die in the snow.
What?
She just said it wrong, too. She wrote HOS, has long to die in snow.
Oh, now, that sounds like me Googling.
Yeah.
See.
So Jennifer claims she did not Google this until they found the body at the request of Karen. Like, Karen was screaming, like, oh, check about the phone. But according to phone records, it was hours before the body was found. Okay. Hours.
Yeah.
So the prosecutors are trying to claim that, like, Jennifer had, like, an old search button on her internet and then, like, pulled that up, and that's why it's showing, like, the do something timeline. But I don't know. How's long to die in the snow, like, at that time, like, in the early hours of the morning? Come on, guys.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So this Jennifer McCabe also deleted multiple phone calls from Jennifer O'Keefe the morning he died, which, guys, just deleting something, it doesn't go away. It just makes you look stupid. Not only that, she denied erasing these calls. Like, denied.
Dirty
again,
deleting.
Well, she's the butt dial girl, you know.
Butt dial.
She's the butt dial. So many butt dials, so much accidental deletions. That's just how it is. So this Jennifer McCabe, she's a big person in this case. The last few days, she's just been talking, trying to defend herself with this. She does seem like just like a normal, like, Midwest mom. And she's like, I'm just a normal mom. And she could be. Yeah. But, like, this is just all, like, so many, like, coincidences. If everything she says is right, like, what are the coincidences?
Yeah, right? It's, there's too many. On both sides, too, I guess? I don't know.
Yes, both sides. So Jennifer also claimed the reason that no one went out to talk to the police, because remember that all that chaos going outside, nobody came out, was because she thought it was just people outside trying to sell them stuff.
At what time?
Yeah, it was like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
What are you talking? Like, all these people? Like, what's going on?
In a blizzard? Or
in a blizzard?
Post-blizzard?
Yeah. There was also a group text between the officers and friends who were at the party that said to tell them, as in tell the police, that John never went inside the house.
Hey, guys, tell him John never went inside the house.
See, and they're trying to play it like, oh, we were just saying that just to let them know. Like, oh, make sure to let them know that he never got inside the house.
Yeah, like, don't forget to tell the truth.
Yeah. Like, what?
They're police officers.
No.
Just reiterate that.
So now that I told you so far evidence on both sides of what they said in court, what are you feeling so far? Are you feeling care?
They sound like college bros that are like, just happened upon being a police officer, bro.
They are like Boston bros.
So, they're solo cups. Don't forget to tell the truth. This is
to tell him, man. Remember, he didn't come inside the house, man.
Yeah. Wonder if you're like, oh, I wonder what kind of questions they're gonna ask us. I need to. Okay, give me a quick refresh on like maybe the top 1 or 2 points of the Boston police side that you might be like, that's hard to argue.
Well, they're all the people that were there, including EMTs, which don't have a foot in the game. Were saying she was going around like, I hit him.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. Obviously the taillight, but not only the taillight, the hair found in the taillight and on his clothing. Again, that could be planted, but that is a big thing if it's not.
That is a huge thing if it's not. That's the if it's not part we need to know. And his head was floating around her car when they had it in their possession, which is very clearly.
And all the people at the party, like, that's a lot of people to collaborate a story that someone didn't walk in. Again, Karen saying that he went into the basement. He could have been a fight down there. The people upstairs might have not known. Maybe they are covering for it. Maybe it's gone too far. Maybe there's been threats.
Yeah.
And I mean, Karen's side's doing intimidation too. They're both doing intimidation.
True. That is a lot of people to make sure they're on the same page about a lot of details.
It's a lot. But they all know each other. Like, they're all, like, went to school together. Everyone's, like, really close friends. Like, when you talk about this town, everyone knows, like they were saying, like, oh, this person's babysitting this person. And, they've had group text messages for years. Like, these people are really close. Moms, even. Jennifer's like, we're all moms together. Mom's a police
that's
officer.
hard to, I totally forgot that this case, like the prosecution and the defense, again, like you said, they were friends. Like, it's hard. It's easy to separate that and look at it as a case, very sterile in facts.
Well, even Karen says this. She's like, all these people were my friends until this day. All her his family. Like, she went, the first thing she did when she left the hospital, because she said she wanted to take her own life. She was really upset that night.
Yeah.
At morning, and then she went straight to his family's house.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Rock your world, really.
And why would you do that if you thought you hit someone? Mm-hmm. Like, she wasn't saying, so who knows? And why would no one say that she said that until 3 days later?
Yeah. That's
so
odd.
I don't know. It's odd. It's all odd. So
my gut is leaning towards the defense.
Yeah,
just a bit.
She has a good case.
She's got a great case.
And I think if she did do it, it was an accident, full accident. Mm-hmm. And maybe I don't think she was drunk enough to not remember, but I don't know why she would go through all this. But again, she said she's fighting for her life and she has the money to do it. Thank goodness, because you need the money to do something like this.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? What else are you going to do? Yeah. At this point,
Yep.
Wow.
So let's talk about closing arguments and the jury and what the jury decided.
Okay.
So as both sides presented evidence in the closing arguments at the end of June 2024, prosecutors really tried to drive home that Karen killed John by backing into him after a drunken argument. Prosecutor Alan Laley says that the defendant drove her vehicle in reverse 24.2 miles per hour for 62.5 feet, struck Mr. O'Keefe, causing those catastrophic head injuries, leaving him incapacitated and freezing him to death. Karen's lawyers accused the off-duty police officers inside the Canton home of killing John, dumping his body on the lawn, and then conspiring through fabricated evidence and false testimony to frame her. One of her defense attorneys, guys, is named Alan Jackson. Not confused with the best country singer ever, who's one of my top favorites. It's so fun, like, listening to this, because they talk about Alan Jackson a lot. That's her lawyer's name. Yeah. And every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, they'll be like, oh, this is classic Alan Jackson right now. I'm like, it is classic Alan Jackson.
Classic country.
Classic country. Yeah. So Alan Jackson, the closing remarks, said, ladies and gentlemen, there was a cover-up in this case, plain and simple. You'll surely say to yourself, I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe that could happen in our community. But sadly, over these past 8 weeks, we've seen it right before your eyes. You want a fun fact, guys, about Alan Jackson, if he's not only already the coolest?
Love a fun fact.
He was Kevin Spacey's attorney when he went through that trial.
Oh, really?
That he got off, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, Kevin Spacey, when he was last accused, it was Alan Jackson.
He was his defense?
He was his defense lawyer. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, hoot, scoot, boogie. Oh, here we go, do-si-do. I'm started singing Brooks and Dunn. Sorry, guys. It's similar. It's similar. It's similar. So, after 8 weeks of testimony from 68 witnesses, deliberations began. So on June 28th, 2024, the 12-person jury sent a note to the judge saying it could not reach unanimous verdict. Mm-hmm. The judge, Beverly Canone, ordered them to continue deliberating. Like, it's been a few days, go back, look at the evidence, let's go.
Yeah,
Days
we can't
later,
do this all over again.
Yeah. Days later, on July 2nd, the jury twice more reported it could not reach a verdict. One of the jury's notes said, despite our commitment to the duty entrusted to us, we find ourselves deeply divided by fundamental differences in our opinions and state of mind. So the judge declared a mistrial.
Oh, fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't get the jury to agree.
Yep, mistrial. That same day, the lead investigator in this case, police trooper Michael Proctor, was fired from his duties. Which, even if he didn't do anything wrong, like, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he sounds like a great dude.
Yeah, like, scooping shit up by cups, writing to, like, your sister that she should kill herself. Like, calm down.
Yeah, no, you don't need to be in charge of saving people's lives.
No. So new trials, guys. The prosecutors decided to retry Karen and retry her again with second-degree murder. And also this time leaving the scene. So they're doubling down. They're like, instead of, because sometimes when there's a mistrial, they're like, maybe we can't, we shouldn't try it again. Sometimes it happens. Nope. They're like, we're even gonna add some charges. Like, they're like, no.
So wait, was the first one only manslaughter?
No, it was second-degree murder. This time they're adding leaving the scene, everything like that, trying to get her a larger sentence. They're trying to get her life on a second degree, which usually life, even on a high thing, usually in our country is like 20 if it's really high, but they're trying to get her life on this. So
they're scared.
As if
they scared.
They scared. As if this case could not have any more like crazy twists and turns, one of the jurors from the previous case came forward saying that the jury had decided to acquit Karen Reed on 2 of the charges. That the jury actually did not find her guilty of second-degree murder and leaving the scene of personal injury or death. But they actually did do it on manslaughter in the lesser charge, and the jury actually voted 9-3 on that. But somehow, because the jury did not understand how to communicate that, like, oh, we're not giving her like this, we lowered the things, the judge read it wrong and declared it a mistrial.
Oh, God. Could have been all...
over with. Multiple jurors came forward and collaborated this story, by the way. And normally, like, so normally when a judge hears that, it would be a mistrial or they would take that verdict, right? Because that's the judge's fault. Because I don't know if you guys have ever been on a jury or know how it works, but like I was in a jury and like the judge has to give you every single detail. Like, okay, now this is how you write it in. Like they sit with you and write you through every single little thing to make sure you know what you're doing. Because it's literally just 12 people who know nothing about anything.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah, you have to explain it. And this is the judge's fault. So it shouldn't be a mistrial. They should like do what the jurors say. And Karen's defense went back and said, hey, you're putting us through a trial again. You're adding extra charges. This is double jeopardy because double jeopardy, you can't be tried twice. And they're putting her through and they're trying twice. Thrice.
It's in between twice and thrice.
Yeah.
Not quite.
They brought it to the Supreme Court because it is double jeopardy. And because she had a first trial and because there was a decision made, but they decided, nah, just do a second trial. And they barred it from being double jeopardy, which is stupid. So if you guys, So if you don't know what double jeopardy is, it's actually a legal principle here in America. I don't know if other places have it, but I'll explain it. It actually protects individuals from being tried for more than once for the same crime. So it's like in the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, no person should be subjected to the same offense, twice. Yeah. Kind of deal. Life or limb. So like if I was like acquitted of murder, but then they found out like 10 years later that I actually murdered the person, they couldn't try me again. Yeah. Because they already tried me. Yeah. It's kind of like why O.J. Simpson, why they couldn't try him again even when there's more evidence, but the family won like, they did like a civil case for like Nicole, It's kind of the same thing. So they couldn't try him again. Yeah. Or just go rent the movie Double Jeopardy, classic, Ashley Judd, Tommy Lee Jones. I love Ashley so Judd. Fucking good. You'll love it and you'll know what Double Jeopardy is and you'll never forget what Double Jeopardy is. I don't want to ruin it because it's good. It's great. But you guys should go watch it. It is good. It is good. So she had to go to a case again. And there's video of this, Karen, having to go through this all over again. So it was 9 months after the last trial for a new trial to begin, which was April of this year. So we are on the 9th day today. They have the same judge, Beverly Canone. Both sides, the defense and prosecutors, actually didn't fight. They're like, yeah, we'll keep her on, which says a lot about the judge. Honestly, it shows that she's fair.
Yeah.
So special prosecutor Hank Brennan started the case by telling the jurors in his opening statement that Karen Reed was drunk and angry, and she purposely put her Lexus SUV in reverse and struck O'Keefe, leaving him mortally wounded in the cold in the lawn of his friend. Our man, Alan Jackson, opening statement, pushed that the investigation was riddled with errors, biases, incomplete from the start, citing a text messages from now-fired Massachusetts State Police investigator Michael Proctor to a friend, who asked if the owner of the home was Brian and making sure he wouldn't face any backlash. When asked that, Proctor actually responded, nope, he's a Boston cop too. Showing, hey, we're going to keep our own.
Yep.
So it was really hard for them to find jurors who didn't know anything because obviously they went through this case again.
Yeah.
I kind of tried to find new evidence that I didn't share, which was already in the first trial. There's only a few things I can say watching Jennifer and stuff now. Everyone's a lot more rehearsed now, which is not good for Karen, to be honest.
Yeah, because they've gone through it. It's not fresh in their minds or fresh written down about what they should say. They've got it down.
They know what they're doing. One thing that hasn't come out yet that I've been hearing that they're going to present, and I'm really excited to hear it, is from the defense. As of today, I didn't see it, that they actually were trying to find what happened to the dog, right? Because all of a sudden the dog went missing. And the guys were like, oh, we just put him off on a farm. They said the dog was attacking people, which is why they had to lose the dog. Yeah. Which is pretty crazy. So you're saying your dog attacks people? So they searched everywhere for the dogs because they couldn't find it. And they found this dog on a farm. They actually found the actual dog. Yeah. They believe it's the actual dog. And the fence said that they took teeth molds of the dog to hopefully see if it's the same dog mark. The prosecutors are trying to come forward and try to not put that into evidence, though, stating that, oh, we don't know if it's this actual dog. There could be, how do we know? Because there's not DNA evidence. You don't know if it's that actual dog. It could just look like the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm interested to see how that was. Another thing they're going to say, too, is the prosecutor was saying how there was grass underneath him. Yeah. Where the defense was saying, because his body was thrown out later on, so it was still warm when it was thrown out, and it wasn't thrown out the fight wasn't right away. Even if they threw him out at 4 a.m. and his body was still warm, that could have melted. Yeah, melted a couple layers. That right under him. And his cell phone was perfectly placed under him. So they're trying to show all those phone calls they were making. It was oh, they're probably searching for his phone. Laid it under him. Yeah. Type of deals. Yeah, that was another thing. Another thing, too, that the defense just brought forward, which I thought was pretty interesting, was they actually had a record of the temperature of his phone that night. When he was in the car, his phone was at 77 degrees. And his phone was around 1:14, got to about 50 degrees. At 6:06, it was at 37 degrees when they picked up his phone. Yeah. So they were trying to show that it was later on because that he kind of went to the ground type of deal. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. So that's the new evidence we have as of today.
I love those pieces of evidence that you think it's just technology these days. Your phone's temperature.
Yeah, phone, your car, your steps. It's kind of scary.
It is a little scary.
It's cool, but not cool, if that makes sense. You can't get away with shit anymore. That's why, have you watched the show You?
Yes, but I haven't watched the last 2 seasons.
Okay. I'm going to say, guys, I'm going to have a hot take here. I think it's awful. And I still watch it. I've still watched every episode. And I don't know why.
That's how I felt the last season I watched. I was like, why am I watching this? The first one was great.
The first season was great. This last season was better. It ended okay. But what I was thinking with this one is how hard it is to get away with murder nowadays. Because there's so much thing. He keeps getting away with murder. He keeps murdering people in front of people, the guy on You. He keeps getting away with it. His DNA is everywhere.
Unrealistic.
This last season was so unrealistic. I won't go into it for spoilers for you. Yeah. But I'm just this is
they're
stupid.
Beating a dead horse.
Yes.
Yeah, sloppy.
He's so sloppy.
Yeah.
Like, they would have everything on this guy. Like, it's so sloppy. So, guys, since it's my episode, of course, I had to research to think, is there a medium?
Is there a medium?
Is
We
there
should
a
have a little
medium?
theme, like, for when you say this. Like,
Yeah.
is there a medium?
Medium.
Is there a medium?
There is a cool medium actually called Karen Putnam, who has actually been following this case this whole time. She's a tarot card reader, and she's been doing multiple episodes. She mainly focuses on true crime. Super interesting episode, but she like plays a lot of the clips and stuff. Like, it's actually, even if you believe it or not, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
She actually began crying and I got a little teared up on this when she actually reached John, because she said he was very sad. He was upset that he left too soon. He was not ready, to go. And he was sad this was all happening.
Yeah.
It sounds like he said there was a fight, but she didn't go much into it. But he said that he really loved Karen and liked Karen a lot, and said that she was a good like mom figure to the kids. So she liked having her around. He did say that he did go into the house. So there was that.
80 steps.
Cops, he said, are bullying, and they're actually bullying witnesses right now. And that's why a lot of these people are not telling the truth. He also said to look where the money is, and they'll look where the money is towards Brian Albert. So again, guys, don't sue me. I'm just reading what a tarot reader is saying.
Yeah.
True or
yeah.
not.
We're a weird podcast. We got to go
we're
into
weird.
the metaphysical and we got to look at every angle, even if
What
it's
do we
just
think? You
yeah.
never know, because we don't know, right?
just opinion.
Yep. He's saying that Karen is very stressed through all this and that she's fully being gaslit. And the reason that he's coming forward with that word, as she says that all these people were her friends, and this kind of threw it on her and trying to make her seem crazy and trying to make her feel crazy.
Yeah.
Type of deal. He also said kind of what I was saying, that it's good that Karen Reed's going to be okay. He believes she's going to be okay because she has the money and able to buy justice. But that this actually, because again, we talk about soul contracts a lot, and that this actually has a lot to do with the justice system, not only about corruption, but it has to do, which is, they're saying it's not showing it yet, but in the next 3 months, it will be a thing like you can buy your freedom.
Yeah.
Type of deal. So even if you believe Karen did it or not, she is kind of being able to do that. She's able to take off work for 3 years.
Yeah. Can you imagine if she didn't have the capabilities to defend herself the way she has? If it was just like they said, if it was just you or your mother or your sister or your best friend, like
what would you do?
You wouldn't have those resources.
No, you wouldn't. Another thing, which I don't like saying this because I feel really bad, but again, this is what the psychic said. She really was saying a lot of negative things about John's mom, Peggy. Now, I don't remember. We only talked a little bit about her. She's been on the trial this whole time. She was the one that right away said, I think you got hit by a car when she came in without anyone really saying that. So and she
victim's mother, you said, right?
Yeah, Peggy. It sounds like she's saying we should look at Peggy, that she's part of a bigger thing, and there's money involved with Brian.
Yeah.
Again.
She knows more than she's letting on.
Yeah. And they're using Karen, who he said that he did love, as a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Yeah.
So, that was the tarot reading. And that is the Karen Reed case as of today.
As it stands, May 5th, 2025.
On the second case. So
I love that we're releasing this in the midst of it. Just like with the Lori Fallow
and
case.
I love that we already have a case that already went through for it too. So we can kind of know all the evidence already too.
Yeah, we can go watch everything and we can just dive in. The next time there's stuff going on, we can actively live watch. Like, that's fun. I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, do it. Check it out. I think it's either, personally for me, just with all the evidence and everything, I believe that it was a fight situation possibly, or I do believe Karen was drunk and did it, and they're just planting everything, and they're trying to save their own butts. Which, and it could be somewhere in the middle, because that's where I think a lot of things are. Could be a little bit of both.
I think they need to look more deeper into the money.
Yes, because that's what a lot of
maybe
people
there
are
was
saying.
a fight. Yeah, but what is going on? Is there money involved?
Yes.
What's going on? Did he know something? Did he stumble upon something, even though these were his friends, but they're still also his coworkers, right?
Well, that turtle boy, like I said, this is all, people don't like to take their information from him, but he does come up with a lot of information that a lot of people do not know. So we have to give him some credit there.
Sure.
He was saying that there possibly was a drug cover-up, like with seized drugs that were taken in.
Sure.
Again,
Okay.
we're talking about, I
That's
don't
a
know
thing
much
that
about,
happens.
yeah. And I don't know much about John, but just from what he has done in life and what people have said about him, he seems like a very stand-up person.
Yeah, the kind of person that might tell the truth
Yes.
about something, serve justice, maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, showing that Brian Higgins, one of the guy in there who's trying to act like us cop bros stick together, but he was trying to like grab his girlfriend, like
Yeah.
flirting with his girlfriend. Like, that's not a good person.
No.
Like, I
hoes-
know that they were breaking up and stuff, but like
Bros
trying to
before
pretend you're someone's
hoes.
friend. Yeah, bros for hoes, like texting and like, and
That's
it's really
shady.
awkward. It's such an awkward. That's actually my favorite part of the trial, guys. If you're going to look at anything in the trial, look at Brian Higgins having to read those text messages in court that he sent to this girl.
Who's right there?
Oh my God. It's like, I think you're hot. I think you're hot too.
Oh, God. It's like 7th grade.
It is 7th grade. But I love Karen's explanation of it. She's like, I wasn't married. I didn't have a ring on my finger. I didn't have a house with him. I
She's
didn't
not
have nothing.
wrong. She's not
No.
wrong. All
No,
those
and she's
things-
not a police officer. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
not her group,
Nope.
right?
That's fair. Yeah.
So
I'm
but he's
feeling this
innocent.
on her side. I'm
you
curious.
are? You got to go out
Yeah.
with your pink shirt on? Yay!
I might go out with my pink shirt on.
Came
I
to
mean, there's
Karen's
just
stand.
so much. I'm backing into a car and there's footage of it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And
that
why
tail
would they?
light.
I don't like that they're sending like the evidence. Like, why'd you flip that backwards? And you said that no one was there, and you obviously did that to hide it.
Yeah.
And trying to say, oh, we didn't see his little head bobbing around. Then why would you send the video flipped? Like, why would you change the video?
I feel like I wonder if they're purposefully acting dumb.
You think
Like,
so?
yeah, they're like using.
Oh yeah,
solo
like the
cups.
butt dial thing.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
like even the like we're not ready for evidence. Like maybe they're like, we would rather go down and maybe even get fired as just like cops that didn't do their job. Like look extra dumb because maybe if this goes wrong, we can lean on that. We're just dumb.
Yeah.
You know, but they're not actually that dumb.
No.
You know what I mean? Maybe.
Well, it's just crazy. I don't know. It's the evidence thing was crazy. The second search thing was crazy. Like finding so many pieces on the second search, like not having anyone written down that Karen said all those things.
Yeah.
Like I hit him. Like you can see her in the video freaking out, but there's no like if you were a cop and you're at you're at a scene, someone's dead,
Yeah.
and there's someone screaming, I hit him.
Yeah.
You're going to take them, or you're going to at least write it down. You're going to put in the evidence.
Yeah.
Like that's
That's-
someone.
Yeah.
3 days
And an
later.
unsecured scene for so long too during periods. Like, yeah.
And they never search Brian's house.
Yeah. Like what?
Like why?
Like that's a potential like location. Like why wouldn't it just yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, they won't search it. They were just saying, well, all the people, they all said that he didn't go in, so he just didn't go in.
Oh,
It's
let's
like,
just take him by the
what?
words.
So weird. Yeah, this judge
Come
this
on,
time,
man.
this time too, which I didn't really like about the judge in this case. This time, she seemed really fair in the first one, but for some reason, she seems to be like, I don't know. I think she's being favorable to the prosecuting people like this time. I'm just
think?
feeling that a lot. She's blocking a lot of evidence, which we get to see that the juries don't get to see.
Yeah.
But she's doing a lot of block. Like she's she won't let any of like Karen's defense, like a lot of their specialists come forward. She won't for some reason. For like
Weird.
the body and everything. I'm interested to see about the teeth molds and if
Yeah.
they're going to share that. I know that they did it, but again, prosecutors can say it's not the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I could tell you guys about the pig DNA. How
You
crazy.
did. Learn something new. Fun fact.
Fun fact. If your dog
Fun fact.
chews in a bone.
Yeah.
There's one
Maybe
case that
she's
it's
being
happened.
bullied. Maybe she's got some money hanging over her head too.
Karen.
No, the judge.
The judge. Yeah, now maybe the first case she didn't, the second case she did.
You never know.
I know. Boston.
If Boston's that corrupt, you never know.
They're good boys clubs. They are here. I know they are here. Guys, I've looked at being a police officer and I'm like, I would get fired the first day. I would be fucking awful.
Yeah.
I'd let everyone go. I'd be like, you're having a bad day, ma'am. Just here's a cookie I made. Enjoy your day. And then anyone who's like good boy club, I'd be like, nah.
God damn, I want a cookie now. Why'd you have to say that? That's all I can think of.
Oh, I made the best chocolate cupcakes with a caramel latte frosting.
Ooh.
Pretty proud of them. I'm not a good baker.
Nice.
I was like, I don't know where I got that from. But
I attempted to make some whipped coffee yesterday. Oh, it's technically is it called Dalanga? It's like a Korean version of iced coffee, but it's whipped. Like you take instant coffee.
Yeah.
Equal parts instant coffee, sugar, and boiling water.
You mean instant coffee like the powdered?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then you whip it. And for like, it could take up to like 15 minutes even to just like, until it's like whipped, like a whipped cream, but it's coffee. Yeah. And then you pour milk over it. Or, I used all my oat milk.
Yeah.
And then it's, so fucking good. My whip didn't actually turn out, but it was like super creamy and
you should throw it in a blender.
I don't have a blender. I used a milk frother and it just, my hand started going numb from holding it, buzzing so long. And then I had a emulsifier and that didn't really work. I need one of those nice KitchenAids.
Ooh, like I got.
Yeah, that would have probably done it. So I gave up. I didn't actually make the whipped because I gave up, but it was still delicious.
My brother's super fancy and got like a fancy machine that does the froth for him and the espresso and everything like that. And then I got him for Christmas one year, the fancy, because he wanted the glass cups. Mm-hmm. So I got him his little fancy glass cups to go with it. He was using like ones that I made in like pottery class in like college that were like awful, like some of my first cups, but they were like tiny. So he's using those for like a year or so.
That was cute,
like these really shitty little cups I made him. I got him new ones though.
Using like my glass ghosty cup you got me.
Little cuties, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good for coffee.
His cups, yeah.
Yeah, it's good for coffee.
Yeah. And I know before we left, we wanted to talk about merch. Right?
Merch, guys. We just realized that we haven't really been talking ourselves up for a while. We have forgotten that we even have a merch store. Mm-hmm. We've got great stuff. Mm-hmm. Like we did a whole revamp of it sometime late last year. Super, super awesome stuff. But I think we're about to do another revamp and put out some new things. If there's anything you guys want to see, let us know. Certain colors, certain designs. If you have an idea, even a type of garment. Like if summer's coming, you want a crop top, let us know. We can make that happen. Cute little crop top. I've been kind of wanting to make some nice sweatpants. We've got leggings, but like a nice baggy sweatpant with big deep pockets with a tank top for the summer. Just lounging.
Nicole's our merch lady. She makes the best stuff.
I love being able to design everything and and it's comfy.
Comfy clothes.
Make my own clothes without sewing and doing the hard part. But like,
right?
It's fun being able to envision something and be like, I can do that and I can make it and I can have it sent to my house.
I found in my attic because, guys, I live in a house where everything in my attic is just in my husband's family. It's just filled. Yeah. And I found this chest that I have never seen yet. It was under things. I open it and there was like good 6 like handmade beautiful quilts.
Really?
That were like not even touch looking. Like you think I don't know how long they were in there. They had like a musky smell, but like no mouse shit or nothing, which is shocking. But like beautiful quilts. And I'm like, I wish I could sew so bad and make these beautiful things like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I know.
But I can't.
Talent.
Just buy them from our store. I know.
Yeah. Talented people.
I'll show you guys pictures of
Please
cool
do. I want to
in
see
my
these
attic.
quilts.
I know.
See these quilts.
They're so pretty.
So pretty. Maybe we'll make a quilt.
Yes.
We'll leave a quilt.
Well, I got a puzzle of us, which I haven't started yet. I keep looking at it. Nicole made me a puzzle of my favorite episodes, and I keep looking at it and like, okay, today's day, and then I don't do it. I'm like, oh, not yet.
You should just wait until I come down and we can start it together. Because I'm coming next month. It should be. I mean, if plans work out. So y'all might be getting a in-person episode sometime this summer.
Be so much fun.
Where we get to record together again. Mm-hmm. We haven't actually done that. We've done it as a video special, but never as just a singular audio. You and I just sitting down with our mics, not recorded video. So
yeah, we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll be worse. You guys will be like, never do that again. I don't think it's going to be any different.
I think it will. I think maybe more relaxed. We know we're not on camera. We can just be topless.
Yeah.
You know?
Like me, almost. Might have one boob out, one boob in. So
one boob out, one boob. Classy. We need to get you, when people give a, you don't wear bras. It's like, let's make Girls Gone Weird bras. Give you a bra.
Anti-bras, anti-undies over here.
Anti. So yeah, no, check out our merch. We'll share the link. And then we'll also share a link once we do a little revamp and get some new merch in there for you guys. But again, if you think of anything you want, any ideas, colors, let us know. We check our socials, our messages. You can email us, weirdos@girlsgoneweird.com.
Leave 5-star reviews and also give us like lots of shares. Tell everyone about us.
Totally.
Tell your weird friends.
If you have a favorite episode, share it. Share it with somebody that doesn't know. I just heard from Brittany, my sister-in-law, or future sister-in-law, that our latest episode, Killer Grannies, is like one of her new all-time favorites.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. So if you've got one we've recently done that you're like, oh yeah, that was great, share it. Share it with a friend. Let us know. We love that. We love talking with you.
Yeah, and if you're new here for Karen Reed, like, you can keep listening to us. But you can also just wait for that update that's going to come too. And if you're into this type of stuff, go check out our Lori Vallow episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pick and choose. I feel like we're a good bobcast.
We're a bobcast.
We're a good bobcast to be able to just like pop in to like a topic you like. Like you don't have to listen to them all in order. It is fun to do it that way because then you get to know us and little inside jokes we do and
and death news and understand that all that fun
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what I do is if I find a new podcast, sometimes I'll just hop around to see if the topic they're talking about is something I like. And then if I do, I'll start from the beginning. So check it out.
The same.
Totally. So, and on that note, we have not done a Show Us Your Booze episode in a while. Send those stories in. I want to do another one.
Yes. Do it. I love them.
They're so fun. Hopefully we can have one of those coming up soon because I just love them. I'm glad we got some updates today. That was fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and update us. And we love you guys.
We love you. Let's get weird next time. And
bye.
Bye. Until next time, this has been Nicole and Dini with Girls Gone Weird.
Girls Gone Weird.